Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. With me, as always, my buddy, my co-host, my pal, co-host of Winning Picks Weekly, the man who was all over the Masters this weekend. What's up, Greg? How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing good. Yeah, Masters was good to me. It was nice. Um, Baseball, been a little up and down, up and down. Basketball is all depending on the Minnesota Timberwolves if I had a good season or not. But that's gambling stuff. That's for Winning Picks Weekly. Go check it out. For here, I'm ready to talk Jets. I'm ready to talk draft. I'm ready to talk rumors and news, maybe. I don't know, news, but definitely rumors and stuff people have been talking about this week because there's been a lot. There's been a lot to go through, John. I want your takes on it. We try not to talk about it too much offline. We try to save it for the show. And there's a few things that are starting to make me nervous. Do you think a few things are starting to make me panic? So, how are you? How's everything going? And then let's get into this Jet stuff because there's a lot to cover.
Well, right now I'm on a sports high, man.
Yeah.
The Knicks just released their schedule, so check out the Knicks episode coming soon for that, for the playoffs. I'll be at every single Knicks home game. As long as they're in it, I'm there. So the anxiety is building up over there. We have Donovan Mitchell coming into town, and he better not Trae Young me. We'll get to that in the next episode. The Yankees haven't lost a series, 4-0, and they just beat the Cleveland Guardians. So
Nice
maybe that's some
comeback.
good karma. 4-0 in the series, and they beat them by one today. Clay Holmes closed it. Things that Volpe hitting first, hit the double, leading off. I mean, things are okay. Cole looked like the best pitcher in the league besides maybe Otani. Things are looking pretty good for me right now. The Rangers, I think, can make a run at the Eastern Conference playoffs. Like, I don't know. President's Cup usually doesn't win, so I'd be terrified of the Bruins, but for some reason I'm not. Maybe some revenge on the Canes in the playoffs eventually, but first series is going to be with the New Jersey Devils, so that's going to be insane.
Yeah.
I mean, things are really good in the sports world, but we're here for the Jets. As always, Greg, the anxiety is high around draft day with it just being 2 weeks away.
2
However,
weeks.
for maybe the first time in my life, it's not because of the draft.
Yeah.
This is usually the time where we're on our 10th, 11th mock draft of the day, right? Because of everything that we need to see happen. Where are we going to take Sauce? What do we think of Zach Wilson? Where is Jermaine Johnson going to go? Just year after year after year. This year, it's more about when is Aaron Rodgers coming? At this point, I'm sick of talking about it. I just want it to happen. If you're listening right now, you're also sick of talking about it. You're also sick of hearing about it. You just want it to happen. But the fact of the matter is, Greg, the draft is 2 weeks away.
Yep.
The second round is 2 weeks away in one day. And Aaron Rodgers is still not on the New York Jets. I mean, recently we have photos of him and Lazard playing on the beach together, right? Where we have ridiculous rumors from New York radio, Mr. Carton, saying that if we don't trade for Aaron Rodgers by the draft, he's going to go to San Francisco 49ers, which talk about cap. I have no idea how they're going to make $60 million in cap. Well, whatever. We'll talk about that at a different time. Hopefully never. And then now today we have a Yahoo report from a pretty credible source, honestly, and Charles Robinson talking about how the Jets and the Packers are at a crossroads. They haven't spoken in a while. And it actually sounds true because it's a repeat of – it's just a little more detailed, but really a repeat of the news that came out like last week, a week and a half ago, about how the Jets and the Packers are at a crossroads about not the draft compensation next year, but the draft compensation in 2025 if Aaron Rodgers actually decides not to come back. Turns out that if they want that, then they want no stipulations on the second round pick that's going to be conditional if it goes to a first. All conventional wisdom says it's only going to go to a first if the Jets make it to the AFC Championship or if they host the game in the playoffs.
Yep.
Honestly, dude, who cares? take that. I mean,
Completely fine.
that's my quick little take about that. I mean, if the Jets don't make the AFC Championship, I'm gonna be going nuts. So they better make the AFC Championship. We better lose the first round. So I
Yeah.
might as well just give them the first round. But like that's the end. That's my commentary at the end here. But what's your take right now? You said you were a little anxious about the Jets. What's your take right now about more Aaron Rodgers news / not really news at all? But what's your take about Charles Robinson's tweet and also an article, and also, are you sure this is going to get done?
At this point, I'm not 100% sure.
You're a
But I
non-believer
feel like
now,
I'm
Greg.
I
You're a
feel like I'm
non-believer.
90. I feel like I'm 90% sure.
Your
95%
faith,
sure.
your faith is starting to fade, Greg.
Well, I'm starting to see so many different things, right? We're all seeing they're at an impasse, they're at a crossroads, both sides are dug in. What they're dug in about, I don't know if we're 100% sure. I think there's some speculation on what it could be, the conditional picks for the Jets to receive from the Packers if Rodgers ends up only playing a year. Escalating picks next year based on how the Jets could do. I saw some mock drafts today, and I saw an article about, and I want your opinion on this. And I haven't seen anything on Twitter from like anyone reliable, blue check mark, whatever you want to saw, someone that I recognize about swapping first round picks with the Packers this season. They have the 15th, we have the 13th. We're dropping 2 picks back. It happens to be a pick behind the Patriots instead of a pick in front of the Patriots. So I feel like that gets the fan base going a little bit. But what are your thoughts about if that's the holdup? If the Packers are like, okay, we're cool with the escalating picks, we're cool with conditional picks on return if Rodgers doesn't come back, but we want the 13th pick and we'll give you the 15th pick. And Joe Douglas is like, no, we want the 13th pick because we have someone locked in. We think the Patriots are going to take them. So we're digging our heels in on the 13th pick. Would you be upset about that? Would you be like, just give them the 15th pick? What are your thoughts on that?
So that's a Jets fan's wet dream, to be honest with you. That's just fan fiction, man. Of
Yep.
course, that would be amazing if you take the Jimmy Johnson scale. Be like, hey, instead of giving you that 2, we'll just upgrade you 2 spots in the top 15. Look at those numbers, and
No, we're giving them the 2. We're giving them everything. But the icing on the cake that the Packers want is just a pick swap in the first round.
So
we're giving them a second. We're giving them next year's second. We're getting a second in return in 2025 or 2026, whatever it would be, if Rodgers doesn't play for 2 seasons. All that stuff is all true. The one thing that's a new wrinkle that I haven't seen before up until this week is that we swap picks in the first round this year. They move up to 13, we drop back to 15. I haven't seen that before, and that's something that I'm like, wait, there's more permutations out there for this draft, because I feel like we've beaten this into the ground over and over. Like, I was blown away by the swapping picks and trading picks in future years if Rodgers doesn't play contingency.
Yeah, that was a cool new
wrinkle. I was like, okay, that's something I've never heard of before. That's cool. But now the next wrinkle that I'm not used to is like, okay, we just want to swap picks in the first round, which usually doesn't happen when it's 2 picks away. Like, that to me is not a big deal. So I would just be like, if that's what's holding this whole thing up, just do the deal and we'll take the 15th pick, because there's so many players there that, we're eyeing that I think we'd be okay with the 15th pick.
And we're going to get into that at the end of the show here. We're going to do some NFL draft, especially with the 4 linemen that we hope to get, honestly, at 13. Now you're talking 15. And also, we're going to do a quick PFF mock draft to the simulator all together here at the end. But just to hit on your question, I totally agree with your sentiment. If this is the holdup, but I would also then be stingy too. Like, okay, fine. If you want me to get behind my division rival, if you want to move up 2 spots in the first round, like I'm pulling up Jimmy Johnson's, chart, like checking out those points and saying, okay, if you want that, then, and you also want a second round pick next year that can escalate to a first, which we hope that's going to happen. Now we might get 2 extra picks back. You know what I mean? Like, give me, a late
throw
pick,
a 5th round pick in or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, give me a 5th round pick, this year or next year or something like that. Plus my automatic second when he comes back, or if he doesn't come back. But I would actually take off that stipulation, or forget the fifth rounder. I'll keep the stipulation as you're giving me a second round pick in 2 years, regardless
Okay.
if Aaron Rodgers is here or not. If you want to switch up 2 spots in the first round and
Yeah.
make me go behind New England, actually, that would be my take there.
What do you think about the sentiment that there's some rumors again where I'm going deep Twitter on this? I'm going dark web rumors. No, nothing confirmed, nothing that. Aaron Rodgers being like, yo, just don't make a trade. Like, I'm coming to the Jets.
What's that mean?
Like, just like don't trade for me. They're gonna cut me or they're gonna sit me. And I'm coming to the Jets whenever I can. So don't trade. Like, it's kind of like we were talking about Derek Carr. Why would New Orleans trade a pick when they're like, yo, we're just going to sign you in 2 weeks? To me, that Rich Eisen was talking about it a little bit today, and I was listening to him talk about it. To me, it's kind of pointless to talk about, even though I do want your opinion on it, because it ultimately comes down to the Packers eating $50 or $60 million and benching or cutting Aaron Rodgers.
More.
And I just don't think you do that.
More.
I just don't think you pay a guy $60 million to just sit on the couch.
Even if you wait until a post June 1st, according to Spotrac, which is on point, it's a dead cap of 75 mil in 2023 and 24 in 2024. And by the way, they have to pick up Love's option after this year.
Yes.
So what are we talking about? That's insane. That's not going to happen. They'd be the dumbest franchise of all time. We're talking about how they're shareholders and how they have to have a shareholder meeting to try to talk about how they're going to get potentially a first round pick back. And now they're going to get nothing back plus have debt. I really don't see that happening. Literally, shout out to Green Bay. I really love my visit. Like, they're cool. I really love their quarterbacks that they give us every 15 years too. But they're going on a 5-city tour right now to raise money for the Green Bay Packers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're living in a different world here. They're not going to cut Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be they have to hang up his jersey. They have to go back and talk to him. You know what I'm saying? He has to come back. He's already.
My thing is, you're just not going to pay a guy and not get anything in return. It's like you're not going to make it. You're not going to miss out on a deal because you want an extra third round pick or extra whatever you want. You want to swap in the first round, but the Jets don't want to swap in the first round. You're not going to lose out on that deal just to pay a guy $75 million to sit at home who doesn't want to play for you. So I thought it was a little silly, but Rich Eisen ended up talking about it, and he's a big enough name that I feel like if he starts talking about it, maybe there's a little smoke behind that fire. Who knows?
I mean, shout out to our boy Rich Eisen. He's also up for a couple of awards this year. He's the man, honestly. But
final point on Rodgers: if a trade doesn't get done by draft night, is the deal not happening, or do you still think it can happen
by the second round?
Yeah, by the second round, second day.
If the second round is over and this man right here is not on my team, I'm going to be very worried. My man, Aaron Rodgers, if he's not on this team after the second round, because it's after day 2, like completely day 2's over and Aaron Rodgers is not on the Jets, I'm worried because now that means we drafted those 2 picks right in a row and Green Bay's there too. I would be very worried. That's my panic scale would go straight to an 85. From a 0 to 85, literally. If
couple of minutes, if we get the deal done while we're on the clock, I mean,
but on the clock for the second round,
second round,
that would be insane, bro.
That'd be an all-time, heart is in my chest or in my throat.
That would be insane.
I would be freaking out.
That would actually be insane. So let's not put that into the universe.
Yeah.
Speaking of things in the universe, we've been talking about this for feels like weeks. The main man, OBJ here, who was wearing green pants everywhere, hugging our coach, going to Arizona, owners meeting in front of everyone, talking Jets, tweeting all the stuff. I now feel like that OBJ tweet about how he got disrespected for being offered $3 million or something 100% came from the New York Jets. I would actually put money on it if I could that came straight from Joe Douglas. He was like, yo, here's $3 million, and if you do really good, we'll give you like 8. Somehow, some way, the Ravens, who are the stingiest team when it comes to trading, when it comes to players, they pay OBJ 15 mil. The important part of that is twofold. One, that means Lamar Jackson's coming back because he also recruited him. They're tweeting at each other. But if OBJ is going to the Ravens, that means OBJ is 100% coming back, probably on that franchise tag. And number two, the Jets being as involved as they were means that they are still heavily contemplating changes to the wide receiver room. Besides McCole Hardman, besides Lazard, besides getting rid of Moore, there are more changes to be made. Whether that's Corey Davis leaving and inevitably and adding somebody else, maybe that's Corey Davis staying and adding someone else or drafting. I don't know. But to me, all this news means the Jets are still looking for a wide receiver, and then Lamar Jackson is coming to the Ravens. What are your thoughts on OBJ to Baltimore?
Very happy about it. I feel like we dodged a bullet. He's out in the club the next day with Lamar. People are smoking, drinking. He's out there partying, doing Odell things. That's fine. I want that away from my team. I want guys to be focused, ready to go. I know it's the off season. I know you just signed $15 million, but I just don't need it. We got something going on here. We got a good thing going in the New York Jets organization for the first time in decades. Let's not rock the boat too much. $15 million guaranteed is absurd. I push back a little bit on the Jets being the one to offer $3 million just because I think the report was that he was planning to meet with us the next day. And the Ravens, Joe Douglas, that history, that connection, I felt like there might have been some worry from the Ravens front office being like, dude, if this guy gets up to New York and they make a strong offer, we might be in trouble. So like, it's like a don't let the guy leave the building thing. Like, we'll pay maybe the contract started at 10 million and escalated up to 18 with 15 guaranteed, whatever it is. So they were obviously nervous. I think that indicates to me that they were nervous about him meeting with us the next day. So I felt like we were going to be somewhat competitive. I'm happy that we're not. I think that $15 million or $18 million could go a long way to signing some other people that we're going to talk about shortly. And I just don't. Odell, like I said, hasn't had a good season in 6 years. Don't need him on the team.
That's kind of tough. He won the Super Bowl within 6 years.
Yeah. He didn't win. The Rams won.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, from your perspective, then, what are the Jets going to do with the wide receiver room? Are they going to be searching for a veteran? Do you expect a high draft pick? Do you expect a low draft pick to just kind of ease out the room? Do you think Corey Davis is going to be here? Do you actually think Denzel Mims is going to get playing time here? Are Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis coming to fill out the tight end room and the slots? What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, I think it could be I think there's two things, right? I think that, if we're going to spend money, say in that $15 million range, what would you rather spend it on? So, DeAndre Hopkins is out there being rumored and talked about. Jets probably are interested because they were interested in Odell. I think Hopkins is a much better player than Odell. I think he's going to command more than $15 million guaranteed. But again, couple injuries.
He has a contract, Greg.
What's his contract right now?
Well, if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll be able to see it right here. Let me get DeAndre out of the way. He is currently a 22.6 dead cap, and that's their out. Right. Okay. That's if they release him. There'll be 11.3 dead cap in 2022 and 22.6 dead cap in 2023 if they get rid of him now. If they wait till the end of this, this is a 2023 numbers we're looking at here. So it's a 2022.6. It's 11.3 this year, 11.3 next year of dead cap, and they save 19.4 mil.
Not bad.
So I think it would command maybe a second round pick, but at this point, do you think that's why the Jets are insisting on getting that next second round pick in 2025 so we're able to trade ours and for DeAndre Hopkins and still be whole there? Do you think that's what's going on here? If DeAndre Hopkins is in fact a target, there was a rumor today. I've been begging for DeAndre Hopkins. I've been calling for DeAndre Hopkins to get traded from the Cardinals for maybe 1 week after the season ended. I've been waiting for that to go somewhere. I thought it was going to be the Cowboys for a while, to be honest with you. Then the video came out, and I was like, there's no way he's going to the Cowboys after that video. Yeah. I was scared it was going to be New England. And then that video came out of NFL Films, and I was like, okay, now there's no way he's going to New England. And now there's rumors of the Jets, and now I'm like, I feel like now he's definitely not going to the Jets. That's really how I feel about it. Do you think that we're looking for that second-round pick to maybe pawn off? We did that with Elijah Moore, right? Like, don't forget, we took that third rounder, added him to Elijah Moore to get that second, which we're going to trade to Green Bay. So we're still whole in this draft. You know what I mean? I wonder if that's their mentality.
You definitely could be. I don't know if like you're saying like get a second round pick back from Green Bay in 2025 to make us whole for the second round pick we're giving up in 2023. I don't know necessarily if the Jets are thinking like that. I think they just want to accumulate as many future assets as possible to set them up to be in a good position. To me, if we end up trading both our second round picks and we trade for DeAndre Hopkins with a second round pick and we trade a second round pick for Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that's completely fine with me. Also, if we don't and we end up drafting a wide receiver with the second overall pick, if there's someone good that kind of fell out of the first round, if we end up trading back in the first round and selecting someone, I'm not as opposed to it as I was, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Coming more around to it, especially with some of these draft prospects. I think they're pretty good. I think it's got to be a big body outside guy. I think it's got to be a Q Johnson. I think it's got to be, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think it's got to be one of those big guys. I don't want the speedy little slot guys inside with that high of capital. I want a playmaker that can go up and get a 50-50 ball when we need it on 3rd and 14.
That's my boy from Princeton, but that's a different story.
Yeah. To me, like I don't think Mims is an option. It's sad to say it's an ongoing Jet thing. I feel like it's like a Frank Nikita type deal going on if you're in Knicks land back in the day. Like, okay, like I feel like he's kind of had a similar thing with like, are we playing him or not playing him? Is he going to be good? Is he not going to be good? Whatever it is. Some people love him. Some people hate him. I think we have 3 wide receivers on the squad right now. I think we got Garrett Wilson. I think we got Allen Lazard. I think we got Corey Davis. And after that, we're going to need 4 and 5. So is Mims a 5? Sure. He has been in the past. He's been okay. But we're going to need a 4.
You're not counting Hardman as a legit?
Yeah, I forgot about Hardman if I'm being honest. But like, again, I don't think he's just a speedy outside guy. Like he's not a big body. When you need a completion, if someone has to catch the ball and it's going to be contested, I'm not like jumping up and down because we have Mecole Hardman on the outside. He's more of a catch you sleeping on second and 3 and we take a shot and he just sprints down the field. Like I don't see him as like a big contested catch guy like DeAndre Hopkins is, like people say Corey Davis is, like Odell Beckham was. Those guys can go up and catch you a ball when you need to, like Garrett Wilson is for sure.
I think Jigba could do that, but I don't see the Jets really spending that top pick. We'll get into our draft options. We talked about the worst case scenario last week. We'll get into a little bit more. But before we head into that, Greg, me and you, especially you, have been very upset about the linebackers. CJ Mosley, I've been upset about it from the Quincy Williams side. We've both been upset about the linebackers. We both want Quan Alexander back. He's still not signed. There's another guy out there by the name of Devin White. What do you think, man? He's looking for his 5th-year option.
I'm ready for it. If that's what we're gonna end up doing and spend some money on him, he's gonna be expensive. He's won a Super Bowl. He has the pedigree. He's, for people that don't know, he's been down in Tampa Bay after going to LSU. He was taken top 10, I think maybe top 5, 5th overall pick in the NFL draft. Linebacker, but more of a speedy linebacker, side to side, covers the whole field. Type linebacker. I think CJ Mosley, used to be an all type of everything linebacker. I think now he's more of he's obviously always in the top of the league for tackles. That's something we talk about on here ad nauseum, but more of a run stopper, up and down, north and south type linebacker, where Devin White's more of an east and west type guy. Okay coverage. I think can stick with the tight end better than CJ. I think it gives us a great 1-2 punch in the linebacker department. You get Quan Alexander on a cheap deal. Those 3 guys rotating in 2 positions. So I think that's all we run really is 2 linebackers. I think that's one of the better linebacking groups in the NFL all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know if the Jets want to run it back with CJ, Quincy, and Quan. I think they just want something different there. Maybe they are eyeing a linebacker in the draft. Hopefully Campbell from Iowa, which I know is not going to happen. So maybe Dorian Williams, maybe the kid from Clemson, maybe the kid from Illinois, maybe something like that. But I don't know. Simpson was giving me Darren Lee vibes a little bit, watching him go running from side to side, a little small. I don't know. I'm not really ready for that. Campbell, we get Campbell from Iowa. We have a legit linebacker core. Devin White would be an interesting addition. I'm wondering if the Jets are even willing to trade a 5th-round pick for him if it's for just 1 year, or if they're going to just pick
What's
up an
his
option.
contract? Yeah, I know it's there. I
Well,
just
it's
can't
right there.
see
It's
it on
on
the
the
screen.
screen right now.
Yeah, if you're on
The
YouTube,
5th-year
go
option
check
has
it
to be
out.
picked up, and
Yep.
then he's going to be looking for a contract.
So the 5th-year option is how much? I just can't see it because we're streaming. It's too small on my screen. 15 million.
Oh, there's no number
Oh, okay.
that I'm aware of right now. I'm sure if I look it up in the bargaining agreement, there's like a certain number that has to be based on his draft pick.
Gotcha.
But I'm assuming let's just call it 15.
Yeah. So that's good too. I mean, again, young guy, obviously still playing on his rookie deal. We're talking about his 5th-year option. I think got hurt, missed the season again on a Super Bowl run with Tampa Bay. Part of that tremendous defense when it was doing so well. A little hypothetical maybe to get us out of here if you're good on this free agent stuff. We have $15 million to spend. Are we doing 15 million and a 5th for Devin White? Are we doing 15 million or whatever the price is? I know it's more for Hopkins in a second. Or are we spending 15 million on Ben Jones, the center from the Tennessee Titans, who got cut later part of his career, 30, 31, 32, something like that. Kind of a Iron Man type guy, hasn't missed a lot of games, plays pretty good. Part of the Tennessee offense where we took a couple of their coordinators and coaches from this offseason. We need a center. So if you're picking one of those 3 options, who you going with and why?
Those are that's actually a really good question because
Let's play
Corey
Johnny
Davis is
GM
at
for a
15
minute.
mil.
Yeah, let's
What's
play
up?
Johnny GM.
because we have Corey Davis with that 15 mil. So that
Yep.
I assume that's where it's going to come from. Q will obviously be a Jet, but he's not going to come to the workouts because his deal's not going to be done yet by then, which is fine. So I'll give you 15. That's a nice hypothetical. We're going to do the mock draft here. I don't know if JMS is going to be here, if we're going to be able to draft him.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we are able to draft him in the second round, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to play with a rookie. I also don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to play with Ben Jones at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I have the same feeling about this, Ben Jones as I do about JMS. Honestly, I legitimately do not know. There's also other centers. We always fall in love with the top center, which, even if he ends up being good, like the kid from Iowa, who's with, I think, Pittsburgh now? No, Ravens. So the Ravens now. Creed Humphrey or any of the guys that we fall in love with. There's always guys behind, you know what I mean, that end up being good. So, dude, I can't believe we don't have a center. Is McGovern's still available, though? I know that sounds insane. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, so you want to throw a 4th option in there, take McGovern on a little bit cheaper deal?
Like, if I can get McGovern, I know people are cringing everywhere already. D-Hop. Yeah. I thought that was the big win there. And Quan back. How can I complain? And then just draft. Just draft another center. Just draft, another safety. Just draft a linebacker, with your bottom picks and call it a day. Because obviously one of the picks is going to be an offensive tackle in the first round.
Yeah, hopefully your first round pick is a tackle. Your second round pick went for D-Hop. Your second round pick went for Rodgers. We don't have a 3rd. So now you're on day 3, 4th, 5, and 6. We have a couple of those picks, which is nice. But chances are those are developmental guys, to your point. You pick up a linebacker, you pick up a safety, pick up a wide receiver, pick up, another position where we're going to need a little depth or something like that to develop.
So the one note with D-Hop is I don't think he's going to command a 2nd this year because that's their asking price, and then that means he would have got it already.
Sure.
So maybe it's something lower, or maybe it's next year's, 3rd or something. And we'll just keep giving out like we're just not going to draft the year after Rodgers, which is fine, because hopefully we've never had those great of picks. But we've been mentioning this a couple of times here, Greg. So let's just get right into it. Last week we talked about the doomsday scenario.
Yes, we did,
and that was all 4 offensive tackles being drafted before the 13. We went through how can there be 3 or 4 quarterbacks and 3 or 4 tackles drafted with Jalen Carter and Tyree Wilson? How? Just how?
Yeah.
How? And
Will Anderson, yeah.
Will Anderson and Witherspoon, maybe. Like, what are the numbers? The numbers don't add up, as always. Right before the draft, there's 16 players getting drafted in the top 10 and 40 players getting drafted in the top 20.
Yeah.
So here we are. If you're looking at the screen, we got all the offensive linemen that have been rumored to even look at the Jets in the first round. The kid from Northwestern, Donnell Wright from Tennessee, got Broderick Jones, and we got the kid from
Paris Johnson.
and we got Paris Johnson. And you mentioned Paris Johnson real quick. I'll just start off there. I cannot get over his latest interview talk, which he sounded cool. He sounded like the man. I was like, all right, I could see this guy kind of meshing with the Jets until he's talking about his priorities are 1, the weather, and 2, taxes. And the New Jersey, New York stadium that is MetLife does not have any of those things. They have a lot of taxes and they have bad weather, but they do have new turf. They do have new turf, and it does look sexy. And I'm praying to God that we somehow have managed to get a Jets logo in the middle. But I digress.
That feeling that you have about Paris Johnson, is that more of a feeling? Like I had that feeling too. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but felt a little like uneasy about him talking about that. Because is that more because we don't line up with what he wants? You want him on the team, or is that more you want a guy whose number one priority is winning and playing football, not the weather and not taxes and money? Because he's going to be a top 15 pick. He's going to get paid. He's going to be a tackle in the NFL. He's going to get paid.
I mean, here's the thing, Greg. I don't hate him for it, to be honest with you, because who's to say if I'm not in the position, I'm thinking the same thing. And look at the teams at the top. I mean, Arizona's in there. He's maybe angling a little. Maybe Arizona will take him if they stay.
Sure.
Vegas is there, of course. Atlanta. I don't know about their tax situation, but I feel like close enough to Florida. I know that's kind of ignorant, but I feel like maybe their taxes aren't as bad in the South there. Maybe there's a couple other teams that I'm missing. Tennessee's around there
Titans,
too.
Yep.
Maybe he's just angling, Houston picks. Maybe he's just angling to get into a nice situation. He's angling for himself, but maybe that's just the truth. I assume he's media trained, so I assume he knows what he's talking about.
So
it's maybe he's just talking the truth. Maybe he's being honest. He was getting comfortable in that interview, and he was like, "No, dude, if you're asking me for real, I just want to go to a warm city." Or maybe he just wants to go to Vegas really bad. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to angle it. You know what I mean? He's visiting them in the top 30. He's a really good player. Vegas needs a tackle really badly. It's a perfect fit. So let's get Paris Johnson out of here. Let's get the kid from Northwestern out of here because he's rumored to go on the top as well, right? Especially to Chicago.
Top 10, yeah.
Just like you mentioned, who was the last tackle that went to Chicago? I know you mentioned the last episode.
I'm blanking on his name again, too.
You're blanking this time. I blanked last time, but I don't remember. So it looks like he's being rumored to go to Chicago. That's a nice fit. I think Rich Cimini, the ESPN New York Jets writer, mentioned that
Tevin Jenkins,
right?
Yeah.
Rich Cimini mentioned that I think about like 15% of mock drafts or something like that have Broderick Jones going to the New York Jets. I feel like he's been the most popular pick, but in the doomsday scenario, he's not there anymore. What do you think about Broderick?
Dude, I think he's my number one guy right now. I mean, I think he's a little bit slimmer. He's a little bit lighter than the other options that you traditionally see. I think that's more of the way the NFL's moving towards. Like we saw with Mekhi Becton being too heavy. That was his knock coming into the draft. Super athletic, but just way too heavy. And we saw how his body's been able to handle it the last 3 years. He's missed 2 of them. I think that he's going to be more of the prototype moving forward. I think like if you look at San Francisco, some of these other like explosive offenses, they're looking for slimmer, lighter guys that are more athletic that can move around and do what they need to do, even at the tackle position. A lot of rushing nowadays is more speed and technique than it is just bull rushing and overpowering the guy, because the technique is and the practicing for these offensive linemen are to a point where you really can't. You can win on a bull rush if it's in your repertoire. You probably can't win on a bull rush if that's your only move. So it's speed, it's technique, it's play design that's going to beat you. And the way to adapt to that and beat that from the offensive line position, besides preparation, is athleticism. So
he does run the fastest of the 40s.
Yep. Yeah, runs the fastest. I think has the best vertical. Like he's on Georgia. He went up against that unbelievable Georgia defense that had the most ever first round picks last year. More first round picks coming this year. He went up against them. He talked about it in an interview. I don't know if it was with like a local reporter or what, but he talked about how when he first got to campus, he was like nervous about like being able to play because he was just being not dominated, but he was getting beat a lot in spring ball and getting ready for the season and his first season through practices and stuff. Because all these guys, especially these top programs, are the best player in definitely in their town, probably their county, if not their state. So they're
Yeah.
used to just winning all the time. So I think that's like another great thing too for a lot of these guys. Like this guy at Northwestern, he just might have just always been the best guy everywhere. And then he goes to Northwestern, he's the best player. So then all of a sudden you get to NFL and you're like, wait, I'm not the best player anymore. Like, what's going on?
A little
Broderick
bit of
Jones
Zach
has
Wilson
been
syndrome.
yeah, Broderick Jones has been through that a little bit already because he's played at Georgia. They've obviously won, national championships. They have a ton of playoff experience, high caliber, high pressure games. He was their left tackle. He anchored that offensive line. To
Yeah,
me, it's a no brainer of a pick. The only thing that worries me is that I see it on every mock draft.
I know.
So
I
that
know.
worries me to no end because it's that and it's Jack Campbell in the second round. And that worries me when that's all you start seeing leading up to the draft because that usually means that's not going to happen.
Which is exactly why we're going to do a mock draft. The only reason we have the PFF stuff up here is because we're going to do a PFF mock simulator together. So I
Yeah.
think it's only right to use their big board here. Anton Harrison hasn't really been a popular guy because the Sooners stunk this year.
Yep.
But he's a good pick too. Darnell Wright. He's kind of last on my list. I think he's going to be good, but I don't know. He plays both left and right tackle, which should be something that I should be very impressed about. For some reason, it sketches me out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, if I'm being candid here, Connor Rodgers' real big board comes out in like a day or two. I'll be really delving deep into that. Subscribe to that. I get that. I delved pretty deep into the draft there. So definitely next episode we're gonna go into exact positions of need, and he also talks about from the Jets perspective. So
Yeah. I
definitely
mean,
looking at safeties, definitely looking at linebackers, definitely gonna be looking at offensive linemen and defensive linemen late in the draft. I'm all over the running backs already. We could talk about it anytime you want. And it's a deep tight end draft as well. So I'm excited to get into all that. Do you have
yeah.
any notes before we get into a quick 3-round mock?
Yeah. Let's go Darnell Wright real quick. The only knock that I've really seen a bit from him is that he's a little undersized, a little bit shorter arms. So he might be. There's some drafts or some people have talked about the notion of him possibly moving to guard at the NFL level. I feel like we're comfortable at the guard position right now with Tomlinson and AVT. So to me, that worries me a little bit. I think Broderick Jones, like we talked about, a little bit bigger. I think Parrish Campbell's the biggest out of all of them. To me, I think we need a true blue tackle to anchor this team. I think we have enough flexibility with enough other guys where I don't want to see AVT playing tackle again. I want him to be a guard, to be one of the best guards in the NFL.
Man, if we end up with Wright after all this in the first round, I'm not gonna be happy. I'll be at MetLife, hopefully, for that for the draft day. The Knicks schedule came out today, actually, so the Knicks won't be playing. So I will be at MetLife for the draft party. If we end up with Wright, man, that's gonna be a tough day. That's really gonna be a tough day. I'm gonna be honest.
It will be a tough day. It'll be bittersweet for me because I think I'd rather have him over other skill positions. Like a lot of skill positions start going around us and a lot of the mock drafts.
Dude, I'd rather have Najigba, to be honest with you. Just give me Najigba. Dude, just give me Najigba. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we see we'll do the mock draft. I'll talk about other players that we see around.
All right, let's do that right now. We're gonna jump to a quick NFL mock draft simulator. Shout out to PFF. And let's go. All right. So the picks went Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson, Will Levis. All right. Jalen Carter.
Quarterback so far, that's what you want to see on draft day. You want to see quarterbacks go. We're happy if quarterbacks start getting drafted.
Dude, if 3 quarterbacks go within the top 4, not named Anthony Richardson, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
If Will Levis goes at 4, like this mock draft is suggesting, that would be amazing to the Colts. We got Jalen Carter at 5th. We got Skoronski, the Northwestern tackle, at 6. Anthony Richardson, 7. Vegas. I like that if he's there, but I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah, that's perfect for us again.
Yeah, this is literally the best case scenario for us. So this is definitely not going to happen. We could even run it back a second time if you want to check it out. But we have Quentin Johnson at 8, Tyree Wilson at 9, Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback from Oregon. He's pretty good. 10. Devin Witherspoon, this cornerback from Illinois, 11 to Tennessee, and then the Jigba at 12, which means that all the tackles are there. So I mean, it's pretty poetic that the first time we did it went like this with all 4 tackles on our screen.
I also see that real quick too. I see that stack a lot too. I don't know if it happened in this draft, but I see a lot of mock drafts doing the Jackson Smith and Jigba at 12 for the Texans, and then taking CJ Stroud earlier in the draft and doing the whole quarterback and wide receiver that played college together. Look at Tua and whoever, I forget, in Miami. Look at Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. There's a lot of pairings now. So that's a very trendy thing to do in mock drafts. I don't know if that's going to happen, but he could go right before us.
I mean, simulators are based on percentages, right? So they're and they also there's some trades here, but I don't care. I'm just using the team that's there. I don't know who has time for all that. Who are you taking here, man?
I'm taking Broderick Jones if he's available.
Over Paris Johnson if he's there?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm okay with either one. We talked about it when it happened. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I want an offensive or defensive lineman that played in the college football playoff because those big boys were going at it in the semifinal and the final. So if you're on Ohio State.
And you're taking Broderick Jones with Paris Johnson still on the market. His rank is 26 according to PFF. His ADP is 22.6. Paris Johnson, on the other hand, ranked 19, ADP 14.2. You're taking Broderick Jones.
I would. I just think the pedigree, the competition that he's played against, the story, everything just kind of lines up for me. I think he's a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter on his feet, a little bit faster. That's kind of who I'm looking for in a tackle nowadays, especially with Mekhi Becton. You know, I don't know. The crazy thing is if we take him or Paris Johnson, are they playing week 1? How do you not play a tackle that you took in the 14th overall week 1?
Because we got Dwayne Brown.
Yeah, so Dwayne Brown's left tackle is Mekhi Becton riding the bench to start the season.
No, Mekhi's riding right.
So then Dwayne Brown's on the bench?
No, Dwayne Brown's starting. Whoever's a rookie is just going to hang out and wait.
That's crazy.
Dwayne Brown never really gets hurt.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's take him Broderick.
Let's do it.
Well, maybe that's why, if the tackles are taken, maybe it's not the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So we still have the 2 picks here.
I think Luke Van Ness was there from Iowa. Just throw a name out there. We need an edge rusher. We need a guy that could get after it. I looked more at that Pittsburgh. I watched some tape of him this past weekend and a little bit more today to remind myself. Dude, he's small, but he is quick. And I don't want to say Aaron Donald vibes, but just on tape, looking at the size of him.
Edge, though.
No, the guy from Pittsburgh. The guy from Pittsburgh up the middle.
I thought you were talking about
Kuluki. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he a little bit smaller than everyone, a little bit faster than everyone, was getting after people. So just a couple names to throw out there. Yeah, Van Ness again out on the outside. If the worst scenario happens, all the tackles go. There are some options for us here if we don't trade back.
All right, so this draft is going to be a little tough on the mock because we're not drafting 2 picks in the second round. One of them is going to Green Bay.
God willing, correct.
But we'll make the first pick here, and then I'll just pick something random that hopefully won't affect anything, and we'll get to the 3rd round.
Well, I do want to talk real quick, if we have a couple minutes, just talk about second round options here.
No, we have only 1 pick. That's the only caveat I want to make. Because if you're looking at the screen, there's 2 Jets picks in a row. We're assuming one's going to Green Bay.
Yep.
We have BJ Ujulari, the edge from LSU, who has come in for us on a visit. He's in this mock. He's gone at 34, which makes sense because at the end of the first round with Jordan Addison here going the last pick to Kansas City, it's all going to be about who are the best players available for the second round, who's going to trade up. That's going to be a whole talk for 24 hours, right? As soon as the first draft ends. So BJ Ojulari, he's going to be a popular one. Nathaniel Dell from Houston, the wide receiver, he's going to be a popular one. Josh Downs, very interesting player. At some point he had, I don't know if it changed now, but he had 0 workouts 0 calls within the 30. Nobody wanted to use their 30 on him, which is insane. I've never even heard that happening.
Yeah, and I haven't heard of that either.
Zay Flowers going at
Yep.
the top here. DeJuan Jones, who has been nasty all year. I love DeJuan Jones. Goes to Vegas, so they get Richardson and Jones. That's a nice draft for them. Osiris Torrance, the guard from Florida, goes to the Rams. And the Jets are on the clock, man. What are you looking at here? I mean, Jack Campbell is screaming at me. But of course, Michael Smith, JMS is here. We've been talking about him all day, all year. It feels like. What are you doing here?
Yeah, so a new name that's popped up over the last week while I was looking up stuff for me is Joe Tippmann, a center out of Wisconsin. I like him or JMS here. I think we need to address the center position. We need to address it now because there's a chance we need a player this season. But if not, we're definitely gonna need someone next year and moving forward.
According to PFF, Joe Tippmann is ranked higher than John Michael Schmitz.
Yeah. So and his name, I think JMS is a popular name early in the draft process. That was very trendy, and now I'm seeing Joe Tippmann kind of sneak up a little bit, get picked higher than him in a few different picks, a few different drafts. Wisconsin runs not a full outside zone rush attack, which I know we're changing offensive coordinators to Nathaniel Hackett this season. So we'll see exactly what type of offense we are going to run. But I'm assuming based on all the players that we have, the San Francisco players, all that stuff, the leftovers from when the Michael Fuller era, I'm assuming we're going to run an outside zone scheme or zone blocking scheme. So he pulls a lot more than we're doing a traditional like outside zone. So he can pull. He's athletic. He's a little bit undersized, maybe. My only problem with him is that has better. I don't want to say better technique. He's better recovery than most centers. I don't know how inside baseball we want to go. So he gets beat in hand position a lot. And then he makes up for it with technique after first contact with a defensive player. And that worries me a little bit because in the NFL, one, you're probably not going to be more athletic and, a better technique than the defensive guys. So you have to win off
10 years
the ball.
older than you.
Yeah, exactly. You have to win off the ball. And he kind of brings his hands up from the ground and he often has his hands outside, which as we know from penalties and all this stuff, you want your hands inside controlling the pads, one for penalties, one for position. So that's kind of a little bit alarming. He gets penalized a decent amount, which again is a little alarming as well. I think because of those technical flaws in his game when he does get beat, but he's another name to throw out there. I think we have two good options here at center. I like both of those here. Those are the top of my list. And then after that, a name that I've been seeing a lot and something that I want to throw out to you, I have a question about, is you talked about it. It's a heavy tight end draft. So I've seen Musgrave a few different spots from Oregon State. I've seen different tight ends getting picked here for the Jets. And to me, it makes absolutely no sense.
Not in the second, bro.
But I just see it so often that I'm like, maybe it's just so crazy it might work. Like, we just took Ruckert. We have CJ. We have Conklin. I finally feel good about our tight end room. And now this Musgrave guy who's 6'6", runs fast as hell, was one of the few people, the stat I saw today was one of the few people in the Senior Bowl game who clocked in a 20-mile-an-hour speed in a play. Was like one of like 10 guys that was able to do that in a live rep, in a live game. 6'6", can catch the ball, can block pretty well, kind of an all-around type guy. Those don't come around too often. We just took Jeremy Ruckert, though. I can't imagine us taking another tight end in the second round this season, but I see it so much I have to ask, what are your thoughts about that?
I love the tight ends in this draft, man. I've been talking about Sam Laporta for like 2 years straight. And Iowa has had 15 yards total in those 2 years. Like, I love Sam Laporta. I'm terrified of him going to the Patriots. That's the only thing if he's not going to be a Jet, you just can't be a Patriot. That's the only thing I care about with Sam Laporta. But because it's such a heavy tight end draft, and because we drafted Ruckert, and because we just restructured 2 tight ends, dude, we are not drafting a tight end in the second. I do see us getting another tight end, though, from either the draft or the undrafted free agents. but definitely not in the second, dude. No way. Not with all these needs.
Yeah, use a compensatory pick in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, for next year. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get a tight end here somewhere, not in the second.
Who are you eyeing then in the 2nd round?
Listen, man, I feel you on Titman, and I feel you on JMS, and I definitely feel you on Musgrave, the tight end from Oregon State. But dude, if Jack Campbell is sitting there, I'll just feel like the dumbest person in the world if I'm not putting a Jack Campbell card in. I honestly would. But then we're kind of stuck getting McGovern or Ben Jones, but I think that's fine, dude. Like, honestly, like if we get McGovern back, like sure, the Facebook fanatics will be angry about it for 20 minutes, like posting about how we should fire Joe Douglas or something because of it, because we got McGovern back and his PFF grade was bad last year. But dude, I would love McGovern and Jack Campbell. That would be a steal for me, rather than Juan Alexander and Joe Tittman, who could literally suck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think if we can get Linderbaum, I feel like we're not drafting a tight end,
A center
or a tight end this high. To be honest with you.
Yeah, another name for the linebacker is Jack Campbell. Again, big size linebacker, run stopper. Doesn't have that top end speed maybe for coverage, but still is a good all around linebacker on that Iowa defense that was absolutely tremendous last season. Another name that I've seen is Drew Sanders from Arkansas.
Yes.
Bigger type guy, 6'5" at the linebacker position. Small frame though, 220, 230.
Same thing with Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's kind of catching my eye a little bit, similar to like these hybrid safeties that we see a lot now. That's like they can drop down the box, they can cover someone, they can cover the 3.
I'm getting PTSD though, because that just sounds like Hamza and like Sherwood. They were the linebacker safeties.
Yeah, and that's what this guy. He's not going to be like a linebacker safety, but to me, he's just this like hybrid where he's too small to be a linebacker, but he has tremendous instincts. That's what I saw on tape. I watched like 25 minutes of him over the last couple days. Can sniff out a play, is tremendous vision. He can watch the running back, and his hands are moving to get ready for the guard or tackle that's about to hit him, like before they make contact. So he's able to keep his eye on the ball, able to still fight with whoever's he's about to engage with, and can slip people pretty well. And then when he slips people, he's pretty good at stopping the run. The only problem is that sometimes he does get run over because he just has a smaller frame. He doesn't have that big impact that you want from a linebacker when you're stopping the run. But long arms, big body, 6'5". He's filling up running lanes. He's dropping down. He's willing to get his nose dirty. Like I said, good instincts. To me, it's just about the wear and tear on a season at the linebacker position. He's tall, but just so frail. I don't want to say frail because I don't know about his injury history, but 220, 230. He looks like a wide receiver more than he does a linebacker.
All right, I'm going to go Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
Even though Henley's there too, but I'm just going to go Jack Campbell, see what happens here.
That's fine for me.
For the next pick, just to get rid of it, because we're obviously not going to be able to use it. And we obviously got the GOAT punter in Morstead. I'll just take the punter from Auburn or something. I'll take BT Potter.
Perfect.
Henley went. Laporta's gone. Musgrove gone. JMS just went. Rashi Rice. Trenton Simpson. Because we don't have a third round either.
Yep.
Don't forget.
Yeah, so that wraps up day 2 for us. It's beautiful.
I mean, we walk away with Broderick Jones and Jack Campbell. I'm a pretty happy guy. With, of course, Aaron Rodgers. We'll get into a deeper mock draft as this goes on. We'll get into, as Greg said, a little more inside baseball. It's only 2 weeks away. Hopefully by next week we have the freaking trade, bro. So we know what we're drafting. We know we're not drafting in day 3, but maybe we are. I don't know. We know we're going to make trades when the day comes and when it gets closer. But, man, it's so frustrating not knowing exactly what the Jets have, especially because this is our favorite time of the year, man, draft season. But it's Aaron Rodgers season, dude. So who cares, right? Give me D-Hop, give me Aaron Rodgers, and I don't want to think about the draft. Give me a tackle, and then I'll take whoever you want in the second round. To be honest with you, I kind of see us trading down to hopefully gain a pick. Maybe take someone second and third to move up in the second. So we're still drafting.
Yeah, for me, if those tackles are gone and we don't have anyone that's like studded out, like we have to draft this guy at 13, I'm completely fine. That was my biggest takeaway of this. I'm completely fine with trading down in the first round. I'm completely fine with trading down the second round.
Trading down or trading out?
Trading down.
Okay. So
Maybe
like you're not
trading
gonna trade out
out.
of the first?
Maybe. It really
Okay.
depends who's there, and depends
I
who's
don't want to
there.
trade out of the first, to be honest with you, because I want the pick with Aaron Rodgers. Like I want a nice rookie. If we're
Yeah.
gonna trade down and take someone's first and second to move up in the first, no problem. If we're gonna take, if we're gonna maybe get a second and a third, move out of the first, like a high third, high second, whatever. Something has to be good.
Yeah, like if someone, I don't know, I haven't looked at it, so I don't know if someone out there with 2 second-round picks, if we're trading a first
Green
and
Bay
we're
will, but
and we're trading, yeah, we're trading 2 second-round picks and a third or something like that, and we're recouping all that, where we can make 5 picks or 3 picks or 4 picks because we're going to be trading a second-round pick for Rodgers. That makes a little bit more sense to me because at your point, even if we're just trading, if we were just picking 2 guys in the second round and we have 3 picks and we're trading one for Rodgers, if we walk away with JMS or Titman from Wisconsin and then Jack Campbell, I'm kind of okay with that. Like, I'm not super ecstatic. I think we need one of these tackles because I just don't want another season of Mekhi Becton ruining my season.
whoa, whoa.
Dwayne Brown will be hurt at some
I
point this
know.
season. Whether he plays through it like an absolute monster or not, that remains to be seen. But we need offensive line help. We need tackle help. So if someone's there in the first round, let's just take them and move on. Don't think just throw. Don't overthink to pick Joe Douglas.
And Joe Douglas we trust, man. And Joe Douglas we trust. And with that, we're still the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. Very soon, Jet Perception podcast. But for now, we're the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. As always, subscribe on our YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Stitcher. We're on Google. We're on anything that you use. We're on Instagram. We're on everything. Just like it, subscribe to it, hit us with the comments. We're also on Winning Picks Weekly, Winning P Weekly on Twitter. That's our YouTube. We have a playlist for that too. So we got the Knicks episodes, we got the Jets episodes, and we got the gambling episodes coming up. Greg, any last thoughts?
Now let's go Jets.
Let's go Jets, baby. Jets, 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 Jets. If you're going to the draft party, hit me up. We out. Come on, Aaron. See you soon, buddy.